Fantastic Four is supposed to launch Pedro Pascal into the stratosphere and prepare us all for an Avengers Doomsday movie that needs about $1.5 billion to break even. But folks, Fantastic Four isn't even going to break even with Superman in its first weekend. Today, we'll give you the shocking numbers as projections start to dive. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we are finally getting to take a break from all the late night chatter. We love those videos. Love giving you the latest info when it comes to the not so funny comedians and the screeching they're doing right now as all of the gatekeeping falls apart in the legacy media. But my oh my, folks, there's so much news there. I could do 3, 4, 5 videos on that topic every single day and not retread a single time. But we have to get to the box office. We have to talk about theme parks sometime, right? Because the rest of Hollywood, the rest of entertainment, and the rest of fun must be covered. Folks, click that like button. Let's dive in. What you need to know is we got to go back a little bit to Deadline. Nancy Tartaglione had this back after the first weekend of Superman. Superman powers to $220 million global opening. Jurassic World Rebirth roars to $530 million. Yada, yada, the yada, yada. Bottom line was that after the first weekend, Superman globally was at $220 million. And this was despite the fact that globally, international audiences simply were not turning up quite like they thought. In fact, if we take a look at Gizmodo, Cheryl Eddy, James Gunn is out there now. This came out just yesterday. James Gunn is out there saying that, anti-American sentiment is hurting Superman overseas. So the excuses have begun for the international woes that Superman is experiencing. So it's not like things went well. But if you go back to Deadline, it was $220 million, largely carried by the domestic. Okay, that's probably good enough. And we probably do think, despite some in our community disagreeing, probably do think that Superman will just about barely break even, which I don't think is a win for DC. I don't think it's a win for James Gunn, but at least it's not a loss. Fantastic Four, however, is now a different story. Let's take a look at this, folks. Out of Variety, box office, Fantastic Four First Steps aims for $110 million liftoff by Rebecca Rubin. And this is talking just about the domestic. Superman opened to 125. Fantastic Four now aiming for 110, but that's the upper end. 100 would make them happy at this point. It says it's box office clobbering time, or so Marvel hopes. I always love how, it's not good. And the Hollywood trades and the access media, the drive-bys, they'll come by and tell you, it's shockingly fantastic. It's like, in 1 week, you'll be writing about their, why did fans not turn out? The Fantastic Four First Steps, the 37th installment. Good Lord, the 37th installment. How would you like to sit for a marathon of Marvel movies now? In Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe, and third to release in 2025, is aiming for 100 to 110 million in its opening weekend, which again, folks, if it lands in that 100 to 105, it's going to be $20 to $25 million under Superman. And Superman is not, this exceedingly successful film. It's fine. It's fine at the box office. It'll scrape maybe by profitability, but it's no big thing. The problem here is that Fantastic Four is supposed to open the door to Avengers Doomsday next year. It's supposed to build the hype meter to 1,000. Pedro Pascal is the star of this Avengers Doomsday movie coming up, and you're supposed to really be moved to go see that. The issue is, in the original Avengers movies, you wanted to go see RDJ, and you had seen RDJ as Iron Man over and over. You wanted to see Captain America, and you had seen Chris Evans as Captain America over and over again. You wanted to see those characters. You loved those characters. Nobody cares, apparently, about Pedro Pascal and Reed Richards. Okay, to Deadline now again. Nancy's back. This time she's bringing Anthony D'Alessandro and her posse. Says the Fantastic Four First Steps expected to be big with $190 to $210 million global box office opening. And this is where things get very scary for Marvel. Now, as I told you, Superman earned $220 million, and it did so off of basically a domestic pull. I mean, internationally, it really did not do well. And in China, it became part of sort of an anti-American propaganda. Now, listen, James is saying that anti-American propaganda might be hurting it internationally, and I'm saying that in China, that's true. Nowhere else do I believe that to be true. But it doesn't matter in China because whatever you make in China, the studios only get something like 20% back. So who cares about the Middle Kingdom? The Middle Kingdom gives the middle finger to every American studio, and they only chased it because they thought that China was going to be more open as time went on. Now, with Fantastic Four aiming to get 190 to 210, you got to remember, Marvel is more internationally driven than what we saw with Superman, and not by a little bit. So the successful Marvel movies do well globally, very well globally. So if the percentage of this skews global, then you have the problem of lesser percentages coming back in. And the more global it is, the more likely it is that it's going to be front-loaded. It says more smelling salts at the box office this weekend, which will continue to wake up audiences from superhero fatigue. And again, as I said, they will tell you that it is raining as they tinkle upon your head. No, superhero fatigue is clearly not being revealed as going away right now. You want to see that? Go back and watch Deadpool and Wolverine last year when it did $1 billion. If Superman is struggling to get in the mid 600 millions, and Fantastic Four might be far worse than that, and I'll explain why in just a minute, this is a problem because these movies have budgets that require them to get like $800 million to really have a solid return on investment. It says it's looking to do 190 to 210 around the world. This comes in the wake of DC Studios' success with James Gunn's Superman, which is soaring beyond 409 million worldwide. Also, First Step's global start here is pegged at being around Superman's 220. This is so funny to me. You just told us it's 190 to 210, and now you're telling us it's pegged at being around the 220 mark. No. 190 is not 220. It's not the same thing. The international box office projection for Fantastic Four is 90 to 100. With room for upside, particularly if families lean in given the film's themes. The domestic projection is anywhere between 100 and 110 at 4,100 theaters in the US and Canada. All right, so this is not good for theaters because this is a movie that, again, is supposed to drive essentially the genre that has subsidized everything else in cinemas for like 15 years. This thing may not break 100, but it might make 110, and who knows, folks? In a few days, I might have to come on here and say, well, it blew by estimations because of good reviews and word of mouth. Okay, I don't know that yet. But what I can tell you is that if it doesn't do that, we're in a really bad situation where Superman is shoved out of all of the premium screens so that Fantastic Four can come in and do less money than Superman did. And the problem there, of course, is that it basically wipes out Superman. So Superman right now is at like hang on a second, let's take a look and see what is Superman at right now. Folks, we'll get that up for you. All right, so Superman right now is at 416. Now, let's say that Superman goes up against Fantastic Four this weekend, and worldwide, it's a struggle at this point because Superman's going to get kicked off of IMAX and off of the premium screens. The number of screens it's going to receive is going to be tremendously lower. So Superman's going to struggle to get to 500. Worldwide, it's going to struggle to get the 85 that it needs. In fact, that's a really big ask for Superman. So it probably won't get to 500 by the end of the weekend. Probably won't. Almost definitely won't. And Fantastic Four is going to struggle to get 100 domestically. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the budgets for these movies simply cannot be sustained anymore. Simply cannot. There's no way that you can pay the kind of money. But Disney is on the dole right now for a film, a series of films, the Avengers movies, which are going to cost massive amounts of cash. And there's no way around it. There's no way around it. We're already, by the way, seeing the pivot. We're already seeing the pivot. Let me show you this. Out of Gizmodo by James Whitbrook and Gordon Jackson, Clayface may be adding a Star Wars star. Plus, DC Studios may be moving ahead on that rumored Mr. Terrific project. If we look here at the story about Clayface coming and Mr. Terrific, do you know the other part of the Clayface story? THR has got that one. Do you know the other part of the story here? Apparently, DC is going to make a Clayface property. Clayface Media, I don't know if it's a movie or a show at this point, but Clayface is going to be coming with a reported budget of $25 million. Now, that's how you get it down where you could afford to do these things. $25 million will do it. But for Avengers, Avengers Doomsday may be the most expensive film in the history of cinema. I mean, we're starting to estimate this thing could cost north of $700 million just in production alone. And then you look at the fact that Disney has to do another one. And they may split it into a trilogy to try to offset some of the costs here. and try to get more box office. But still, I mean, this is the end of the superhero genre as we know it. And based on the projections right now that we're seeing out of Fantastic Four, we can confidently now say that the era of being able to afford these giant, big blockbuster, CGI-powered Marvel and DC movies has come to an end. That's it. Now, can they reboot it and start something new? Sure they can. But as constituted currently, it's over. And to bring it back to late night, since we've talked so much about late night, I'll just say this. We know that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert basically decided to fail because by alienating half the aisle, they wiped out half the ratings, they wiped out half the revenues, and they could have been profitable, but instead they were losing $40 million a year. I would suggest to you the same thing happened in the superhero genre. I would suggest to you that Marvel at one point, in phases 1, 2, and 3, that they were appealing to everyone. And they could have continued to doing that and making the money that is necessitated in order to satisfy the budgets. However, they decided they wanted to placate only half the aisle and start being partisan. They pushed the MCU. They got into all of this woke stuff that now they deny. And as a result, Marvel, as currently constituted, is going to die. The end of the MCU is on the way, and replacing it will be a completely new, totally different universe of X-Men. Fantastic Four was supposed to start that off, according to our sources, with after Avengers, Pedro Pascal and the Fantastic Four going back to their universe and the X-Men kicking off. Not sure that Pedro will be there anymore because it seems like already he's underperforming. All right, folks, that is the video for today. We'll have 2 more on the way. Do not go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, and click it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and let us know, do you think Fantastic Four will suddenly, shockingly overperform the pre-ticket sales? And do you think it will break out of jail, beat Superman, and show us all just how well the MCU really is doing? Will I eat crow this weekend? Let me know. Also, folks, we'll have an honest review of the Fantastic Four Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Remember, on this channel, we purposefully do not go and watch movies or get special access to theme park stuff. That's not to criticize anybody who does that, but we have in our policy that we do not accept quid pro quos. We don't get anything free, no extras, no tchotchkes. Keep the special access cupcakes away from us. So we'll see it the same day as the rest of you. We get offers to go see all kinds of things. We don't do it. We'll go see the movie, and then, by the way, then we'll give you our honest thoughts on it, and you can rest assured nobody gave us a single thing to say yay or nay or anything else. All right, folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Okay, a little bit of this here.
What are you two doing? You better not be sending Marvel another bot campaign demanding they bring back She-Hulk.
That was only like 17 times. Now we're way past that now.
So then, what are you going to do today then?
We're sending Pedro Pascal love letters. Low-level stuff.
What?
Okay, wait.
I've been betrayed.
Why would you do that? He already gets the wrong message from everyone.
Well, he needs more sizzle in his life.
Okay. There's even some lines for even for you.
But no, these letters aren't from me per se.
They're from Jonas.
Jonas, yeah.
I'm calling WDW Pro right now. You know what? I hope Jonas sues you for this.
Do you think we should tell Floral about this cease and desist letter he received from some weird soup-obsessed man? Maybe we could tell people to like, share, and subscribe. Then we could really let this play out.
Use the codes to play 4 teachers, baby.
Yeah.